You're listening to the Coffee Hour. I'm Andy Bates.
I'm Sarah Golseth.
It is Monday, February 25th, and Sarah's headphones are all tangled up.
I am like a mess of tangled wire over here.
I think it's really
what
just a picture of your Monday.
It is the Mondayest of Mondays right now.
But that's okay. We have good guests lined up for today to share some good information with you, some good stories as well. So, and really a good week lined up. So
yeah, and it's like March on Friday, which is crazy. Which means Lent is soon. Which means Easter is coming. Hey.
Let's not get ahead of ourselves.
That's right. Next week. Wow, Ash Wednesday already.
I know.
Thanks to our friends at Concordia University, Wisconsin. Thank you, CUW, for supporting the Coffee Hour. You can find out more about them at cuw.edu. Live Uncommon. The Reverend Dr. John Sias, Secretary of the Lutheran Church Missouri Synod, made his way down to the studios today because there are some important responsibilities right around the corner. And so what are those responsibilities? I got my email that it's time to take action, but I'm not a voter.
One of the many postcards and emails that my office sends out to try to keep everybody on task in these busy months. With Lent coming especially, we've got to kind of keep attuned to a couple of these things too. We're at a point in the convention cycle where two important things are yet open. One is the deadline for submission of overtures, requests for the convention to take action on anything having to do with the synod's business, and those are due March 2nd in the president's office. So if your congregation or if you have a circuit forum meeting before then, if you have ideas that you want to get in front of the convention, those need to be to us by March 2nd or they're late.
Which is Saturday.
Yeah, that's Saturday.
That would be Saturday, yeah. So that comes very quickly. And we've received about 300 overtures so far, about 260 unique ones. And so rest assured there will be a convention with business before it. But if you want to squeeze your stuff in, you've got just a few days left. The other important thing is the registration of presidential voters. And that registration window is open for congregations until March 24th. Which is a Sunday. And so those things need to be to the office of the secretary by March 24th, taking into account that weekend. You don't want them to arrive Monday and be late. So those need to be in my office by that date, or those are late. And your congregation might miss out on the chance to have voters for the president of the synod in the run-up to the convention.
That would be unfortunate.
It would be. We have a new process this triennium. The 2016 convention changed things up a little bit. Before 2016, or before this election, the delegates at the district convention, so the delegates that congregations selected to represent them at the district, also served as presidential voters. But that meant if a congregation wasn't able to attend the district convention, or if they had a pastor that attended the district convention but then left before the vote, or arrived after the vote, if they were vacant at the time of the district convention, it meant they lost their vote for the president a little over a year later in some cases. So the convention changed things to where the congregation can register any of its pastors and any of its lay members to be its pastoral and lay voters, but they have to get that registration in by March 24th, or they lose out on that process.
Yeah. So it's a layperson, it's a pastor. What is the process that a church does to register a voter? Is it complicated?
It's not complicated, but in the volume of mail that comes to the congregation from the synod, things can get overlooked. Even the millions of postcards, well, it's not millions, but thousands of postcards that we send out. So in October of 2018, every congregation should have received a letter from my office that was marked President Voter Registration. And that letter has a form in there on which the congregation, once it's taken action to pick its voters, and the congregation needs to have a meeting and do that, or decide how it's, as a congregation, is going to handle that. They fill out the information for the pastor, and those mostly are pre-printed on the forms because we know who the called and installed pastors are. But that can change over time. So they fill that in. They fill in their lay voter. the congregation's two of the congregation's officers have to sign that form indicating that the congregation decided, not just somebody who happened to pick up the mail, but the congregation decided that these two people are to represent the congregation in the vote. That gets mailed to my office, and then we take it from there. If congregations have lost that form, I can't imagine that important mail from the office of the secretary would go missing.
Paper mail gets lost?
Yeah. What?
But,
Never.
if that didn't arrive, or if it got mislaid.
Or it was Monday.
Yeah.
A congregation can email us at lcmspresidentvote, all run together, at lcms.org, lcmspresidentvote at lcms.org, and we will email them their form, which they can just print out, fill in, and send back. So we're hopeful, and we're hearing from a lot of congregations with each postcard and email, the dog ate my form, please send us another one. And that's great. We just want the congregations to get her done.
So you're getting as many emails as letters that you sent out?
Not
that
quite
many?
that bad, but yeah, we do.
Almost.
We get a good few hundred emails, couple hundred emails maybe after each postcard. So
Yeah, I can imagine.
yeah.
So who votes? It could be any pastor from the congregation, or the who decides which pastor? Like if they have multiple pastors, who decides that?
Yeah.
Rock, paper, scissors.
I know.
Only it could be. Only those pastors that are officially called and installed to the congregation are eligible. So vacancy pastors don't count. Retired pastors that are just members of the congregation that aren't serving the congregation, those don't count. Got to be called and installed. But if your congregation has multiple called and installed pastors, the congregation gets to decide or to determine somehow, by rule, which one is the voter. And similar for the layperson, the congregation can have a meeting and decide any of its membership that's actually a layperson. We have that distinction. If you have the retired pastor in your congregation, or a retired rostered school teacher that still has emeritus status on the roster of the synod, those are not considered eligible as lay voters. We really want, or the bylaws expect, someone who's actually one of the hearers, one of those taught, a lay member of the congregation in that truest sense. So, and we monitor all that and get in touch with congregations that maybe have not followed one of those rules, so they can correct that in time.
And I could be wrong because I'm not the source of all information, but if I recall correctly, in the past for synod, pastoral delegates could be sole pastors, senior pastors, or associate pastors. Assistant pastors were not eligible to be delegates. Is that right?
So that has changed, even for being a delegate to the district or synod convention. The 2016 convention struck assistant pastors from the list of advisory members only in the Constitution of the Synod. So now assistant and associate, for synod's purposes, those are really interchangeable categories. And assistant pastors now can serve as delegates and can serve as the presidential voter for the congregation if the congregation would so choose. So. But you're before 2016. You were right on the number.
Little known facts. So official voting then takes place in June. Is that right? If you're registered to vote as a pastor or a lay delegate.
So congregations need to register by March 24th. They have the opportunity, if they have properly registered legitimate voters by March 24th, to make changes to those registrations up until June 15th. So if, let's say your senior pastor was the voter, he takes a call, but you have an assistant pastor, associate pastor, the congregation can designate him. Up till June 15th, the vote is June 22nd, lasts for a couple days, and then if there would need to be a runoff, if there's no majority on the first ballot, it goes to a second vote on June 29th. So that last couple weeks of June, that's the prime time for the actual vote, approximately 4 weeks to 2 weeks before the convention of the synod.
So then that decision that is made before the convention of synod, and
that's right. Since 2010, the convention dictated that this election would take place in advance so that they'd know, and so that the president would know who the president is going to be going into the convention.
Anything else? We have just about a minute left as we prepare. Voting registration or voter registration is up next, and what was due? Oh, overtures due by Saturday.
Overtures even more urgently, and the voter registration. And once those things are done, we are working rapidly already on putting together the workbook and the biographical synopses of the candidates we have and the candidates we will have for president and vice presidents of the synod. And congregations can look forward to that stuff coming out in April. They can have a look at the hundreds of pages of really, I mean, there's a lot of great stuff for people to look at and get involved fully in the life of their synod.
And convention taking place in Tampa in July.
In Tampa in July 20th, 25th. We expect to enjoy the air conditioning.
There's a nice Gulf breeze. That'll really cool things out.
It's a beautiful convention center right on the harbor there in Tampa. So I haven't been down there, but it promises to be a great venue.
Very good. The Reverend Dr. John Sias, Secretary of Lutheran Church Missouri Synod, preparing for convention. Thank you so much for being our guest today on the Coffee Hour.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Coming up in just a little bit, it is Missionary Monday, so we have the opportunity to meet one of our missionaries. Stick around. I'm Andy Bates.
I'm Sarah Golseth.